Dear listener, welcome to our channel and the program How I Simply Understand It. As always, feel free to subscribe, drop your opinion, and support the program. Does Genesis chapter 1 and scientific theories of creation relate? Literally, these accounts seem to contradict. But could it be possible that the sequence of events as claimed in these accounts have a big correlation? Many believers of the Bible would not want to have a second thought about scientific theories of creation, since these do not mention the Creator. Some scientists also dismiss the Bible's account of creation, since they do not understand the rationale in Genesis chapter 1 from the physical perspective when literally read. It's like two people, one on top of a hill looking down at the wide view and the other at the bottom looking up. Will the two not give different perspectives of what they see of the same place? I liken Genesis chapter 1 to an account given by a car manufacturer who from the vision began building the car and from the challenges came up with the designs, purpose and details of all interior and exterior parts and systems. I also liken scientific theories to an end user who sees the car at the showroom and begins to know of the car from the exposed exterior parts to the interior parts with time. So the manufacturer begins from the interior towards the exterior, while the end user begins from the exterior towards the interior. Upon questioning the purpose of the designs and details of the parts, the end user, depending on his or her knowledge, is likely to give not necessarily wrong or misleading, but a different view from manufacturer's account. If the end user does not mention the manufacturer, it does not mean that the car made itself. Neither does it exclude the chances of the end user giving related accounts. One of the main bone of contention in these accounts is the element of time. That is, in the Bible, Genesis chapter 1 talks of 6 days of creation, while scientific theories talk of thousands and millions of years. One may ask, were the 6 days in Genesis chapter 1 really normal 24-hour days or defined by sunrise and sunset? If yes, how did the first, second, and third day manifest since the sun was created in the fourth day? Genesis chapter 1 verse 27 reads, "So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them, male and female he created them." Then contrary to what many say, there is a different creation account. Genesis chapter 2 clearly expounds this creation in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27, beginning with Adam coming first, then later Eve. Again one may ask, how long did Adam live before Eve was created? Genesis chapter 2 verse 20 reads, "So the man gave names to all the livestock, the birds in the sky, and all the wild animals." How long did it take for Adam to name all animals? Genesis chapter 2 verse 21 reads, "So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep, and while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs and then closed up the place with flesh." How long did the deep sleep take? All these questions and more may arise as one tries to seek an understanding about time and sequence of these events. 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 8 reads, "But do not forget this one thing, dear friends. With the Lord a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day." How possible is this? Psalms chapter 90 verse 4 reads, "1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, or like a watch in the night." Does this suggest that how we perceive time is different from God's account? Consider the illustration given. Assuming that God is at position O, He is able to see and leave all the points from position A to B, that is, the past, the present, and the future at the same time or timelessly. But someone standing at position N, now that is, cannot naturally see far towards the past, neither the future at the same time. If God is timeless, then could it be that the 6 days of creation were not literally the normal 24-hour physical days we experience by sunrise and sunset? That His 1 day of creation could be thousands of physical years, like science suggests? Considering the possibility that God's 1 day could be thousands or millions of physical years, can we compare the sequence of events as laid down in Genesis chapter 1 and the explanations of Big Bang and evolution theories? Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 to 2 reads, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." Can we compare this to the time before the Big Bang? Genesis chapter 1 verse 3 to 5 reads, "And God said, Let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and He separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day." Can we relate these to the Big Bang? Can we say that the light He created may be the energy that manifests itself in different forms we know as it spread and transformed? That the author called it light, since at the time he could not perceive this energy in any other form other than physical light he knew? Genesis chapter 1 verse 6 to 8 reads, "And God said, Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water. So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it. And it was so. God called the vault sky. And there was evening and there was morning, the second day." Can we relate this to the time after Big Bang, when the planets begin to define orbits and dust and particles also begin to settle, leaving a clear sky? Genesis chapter 1 verse 9 to 13 reads, "And God said, Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let the dry ground appear. And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters He called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruits with seed in it, according to their various kinds. And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the third day." Can we relate this to the time the earth cooled enough to become conducive environment for initial plant life support? Genesis chapter 1 verse 14 to 19 reads, "And God said, Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years. And let them be lights in the vaults of the sky to give light on the earth. And it was so. God made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars. God set them in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, to separate light from the darkness. And God saw it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day." Can this be the time the earth rotation and revolution speed was low enough for the sun, moon, and the stars' appearances to be clearly defined during the day and at night? Genesis chapter 1 verse 20 to 23 reads, "And God said, Let the water teem with the living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky. So God created the great creatures of the sea, and every living thing with which the water teems, and that moves about it, according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, Be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day." Can this be likened to what the evolution theory suggests, that fish and birds came first before land animals? Genesis chapter 1 verse 24 to 31 reads, "And God said, Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind. And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw it was good. Then God said, Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." Then God said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food." And it was so. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Can this be likened to what the evolution theory suggests, that after fish and birds came land animals, and lastly human beings? Does it seem to you that the sequence of events in these accounts have some similarities? As said from the beginning, this information is open to criticism. So don't forget to subscribe, drop your opinion and support.